Imagine waking up every morning surrounded by towering mountains, breathing air so pure that every inhale feels like it's renewing you from the inside out. High up in the Swiss Alps, where snow blankets everything for months, and the silence is broken only by the distant sound of cowbells, there are tiny villages that seem frozen in time, wooden houses, smoke curling from chimneys, families who live off the land, the animals, and traditions passed down through generations. It feels like something out of a movie, but it's real. And in this video, you'll discover what it's like to live in this kind of chosen isolation, the challenges, the beauty, and the essence of a life deeply connected to nature, to hard work, and to purpose. In the Swiss mountains, winter arrives early and stays for a long time. In some villages, snow can start falling as early as October and linger until April. During this time, many families live almost completely cut off from the rest of the world. Roads freeze over, internet access becomes spotty, and even contact between neighbors slows down. Yet, life goes on. What makes this place so special isn't just the breathtaking scenery, it's the way of life. A simple, resilient, almost unchanging way of living. While the world below rushes forward, up here everything seems to move at a different pace. The local culture is rich and alive, and everything in it revolves around one central idea: living in harmony with nature. From growing food to raising animals, from building cabins to preparing meals, everything is done with care, respect, and patience. Here, tradition isn't just memory, it's survival. These small Alpine villages are scattered among towering mountains, with landscapes that look like paintings. Some have fewer than 100 residents. The houses are built from wood and stone with steep roofs designed to bear the weight of heavy snow. These are sturdy structures built to last. Inside, fireplaces warm the rooms, and the smell of homemade food fills the air with a sense of comfort and home. These villages aren't just places to live. They're living centers of tradition, where values are passed down. With the same care used to age a fine cheese, every family has its own story, its own rhythm, and its own way of doing things, but they all share a deep connection with the mountain. Located in the cantons of Bern, Valais, and Graubünden, Switzerland's alpine communities live high in the mountains, at altitudes ranging from 1,200 to 2,500 meters. Up here, nature doesn't soften its rules. Winters are long, intense, and often bring snowstorms that isolate entire villages for weeks. Summers, on the other hand, are short but generous. The landscape transforms and rural life picks up with full force. In that narrow window between the snowmelt and the return of the cold, everything must be done. It's a race against time. The fields come alive with movement, hay needs cutting, food must be harvested, cheeses have to be made. Every hour of sunlight is precious, and locals know it. There's no room for waste when your livelihood depends directly on the land. The steep, rocky terrain sets clear limits. Tractors can't climb. Modern machinery, in many cases, is useless. And yet this same challenging land offers ideal natural pastures for dairy cows. The rich alpine grasses, mixed with wildflowers and herbs that grow only at these heights, give the milk a distinct and exceptional flavor. That's why dairy farming has become the soul of the local agriculture. One of the most commonly raised breeds is the Arons. Medium-sized, sturdy cows known for their strength and hardiness in the cold. In summer, they ascend with the farmers to the alpages, high mountain pastures where they graze freely, drink from snow-fed streams, and produce unmatched quality milk. The economy in these regions rests on three essential pillars: family farming, artisanal dairy production, and nature-based tourism. These activities complement each other and keep not just the villages alive, but the traditions as well. Cheesemaking is the region's greatest pride. Among the most prized are Gruyère d'Alpage and L'Etivaz, two Swiss cheeses with protected designation of origin, made exclusively from raw milk collected daily in the mountains. The entire process is done by hand. No factories, no large-scale production. The cheese is stirred in copper vats, heated over a wood fire, molded manually, and aged for months in stone cellars, turned and salted at regular intervals. These cheeses, sold at local markets or exported abroad, represent a vital source of income for the families who live there. But more than just a product, they are the direct result of a way of life that refuses to disappear, despite the pressures of time, modernity, and remoteness. Here, everything that reaches the table has a story that begins long before sunrise in the damp mountain fields. In the Alpine Villages, the day begins early, long before sunlight touches the wooden rooftops. In winter, when it's still dark and the cold seems to slice through the air, the first footsteps already echo across the packed snow. Around 5 in the morning, houses quietly come to life. While the sky outside remains pitch black, doors creak open, heavy boots are pulled on, and the familiar walk to the barn begins. Even with snow piled high or strong winds sweeping through the valley, the routine continues. Inside the warm, close air of the stable, the animal's breath mingles with the scent of dry hay. The cows are already standing, waiting for the first milking of the day. Before even a sip of coffee, the farmers tend to them, offering food, clearing walkways, adjusting the hay. Fresh milk flows into wooden buckets like part of a daily ritual that never rests. It's calm work, but demanding, performed with practiced motions full of care and precision. Only after this do the kitchens begin to fill with the aroma of warming bread. Breakfast is simple, made with what the land and animals provide. Slices of homemade dark bread, cheese aged in the cellar over the summer, a bit of butter, maybe honey from the village's own hives. The milk, still warm from moments earlier, is served without fuss, as if it were the most ordinary of luxuries. With their bodies warmed, it's time to face the day. In summer, the fields take center stage, days stretch long, and every hour of sunlight is used to its fullest. It's time to cut grass on steep slopes, make hay, and stack it carefully for the winter. Some tasks are still done the way they were 100 years ago, with sharp scythes and arms trained for precise motion. No big machinery here. The terrain won't allow it. It's the hands that set the pace. There are always fences to mend, trails to clear, herds to watch over in the higher pastures. Animals graze freely among the hills, and farmers observe from a distance, always alert to any sign of trouble. Even in quiet moments, the eyes remain watchful. In winter, when the fields sleep under thick snow, the focus shifts. Work moves indoors or into the barns. It's time to cut firewood, stock supplies, repair tools, prepare preserves. The animals still need daily care, warmth, food, dry shelter, and once again that means constant work. Meals are a cherished pause. At lunch, thick, steaming soups made with potatoes, carrots, beans nourish and warm. They're served in large pots placed at the center of the table where everyone gathers. Dinner is lighter, bread with butter or cheese, dried fruits, and herbal tea brewed from plants picked along springtime trails. The table is more than just a place to eat. It's a time for conversation, sharing, and rest. Even on the busiest days, families sit together, exchange soft-spoken words, and relive old stories. Living in the Alpine Villages requires more than just determination. It demands an understanding of time, of the sky, the soil, the animals. It means accepting the rhythm of cold and heat, of sunrise and snowfall. It requires physical strength, yes, but also patience and consistency. And while the pace may seem calm compared to urban life, the work never stops. It only changes shape. This is a life molded by commitment to the land, to the seasons, to the ancestors who came before. Every task, no matter how small, carries the weight of a tradition that endures day by day beneath the silent gaze of the mountains. Those who live in the Swiss mountains know that life up there is about much more than hard work. It's a routine shaped by experience and a practical knowledge passed down through generations. Every task, from caring for livestock to making cheese, is guided by close observation of nature and the memory of those who learned by living it. Parents teach their children, neighbors share responsibilities, and every daily decision carries an old, silent, and precise wisdom. There's no room for improvisation. Living here demands constant effort, but it also brings a deep sense of belonging, continuity, and pride in maintaining a way of life built with one's own hands. Hence Buhler, a farmer from the Gimmelwald region, carries the marks of time on his face and the pride of his work in his hands. He lives with his wife and 2 children in a cabin inherited from his grandfather. During the warmer months, he takes 50 cows up to the Alpages, high green mountain pastures where cheese is made in a nearly ritualistic way. We go up every summer. We stay there until September. The work is daily with no breaks. But when I slice the cheese and see the result, I know every drop of sweat was worth it, he says. Anneliese Troxler, a resident of the Lauterbrunnen region, is in charge of producing small batches of handmade butter and yogurt. She emphasizes the importance of family labor. Here, everyone takes part. The children help carry hay, the older ones keep the fire going, even the grandparents have a role, if only to teach old recipes or remember the right dates for the transhumance. In the Alpine Villages, the role of women is essential and goes far beyond what many might imagine. They are the backbone of the household, yes, but they are also central figures in farm work and decision-making. They take an active part in the daily care of the animals, maintaining the cabins, organizing food supplies, and producing handmade cheeses, a tradition that in many families is passed from mother to daughter as a true legacy. The right temperature of the milk, the perfect flame, the exact pressure in the press. Each detail is taught with care, often during simple kitchen conversations or quiet afternoons by the stove. While some are guiding cattle across the pastures, they're in the barns, feeding the calves, cleaning the stalls, sorting hay from the previous day. There's no rigid division of labor. Whatever needs to be done, someone does it. And more often than not, that someone is her. When harvest season comes or it's time to prepare preserves for the winter, it's the women who lead the pace of production. And still they care for the home, the children, and the family meals, often without pause. Families who choose to remain in the mountains share something deeper than tradition, a strong sense of responsibility. Living here isn't just about staying in a beautiful place. It's about sustaining a way of life that depends on daily care and constant attention. These women see themselves as guardians of the landscape, the land, and the traditions. They know that every small action matters. How the animals are treated, how the soil is protected, how children are taught that nature has its own rhythm, and that rhythm must be respected. Despite the challenges, the cold that lasts for months, the distance from urban centers, the lack of infrastructure during certain times, there's a quiet resilience in the way they continue, not out of stubbornness, but out of connection, because they know every step of the path to the pasture, every smell of the barn, every sound that signals a change in the weather. And in this routine of silent repetitions, they keep alive a culture that, without this daily care, might have already faded away. But how can this way of life be preserved in the face of a changing world? In the Alpine Villages, that question is far from new. It quietly surfaces in conversations between neighbors, in community meetings, and in homes where the children have grown up and left. As technology advances, the exodus of young people has become a difficult reality to ignore. Many teenagers leave to study, some never to return. They choose the stability of cities, the job opportunities, the conveniences urban life offers, and this has left visible marks. Communities are aging, there are fewer hands to stack hay, fewer footsteps along the narrow paths, fewer young voices at the Sunday markets. The cabins still stand strong, but within them, heirs willing to carry on the rural life grow scarce. At the same time, tourism has grown. Thousands come each year in search of perfect landscapes, artisan cheeses, and silent trails. And indeed, tourism is vital. It drives the local economy, generates income, and keeps small shops and restaurants open. But with the visitors come challenges. Not every village has the infrastructure to host such numbers. Trails wear down, waste collection increases, and the once quiet atmosphere begins to compete with crowds, drones, and signs in multiple languages. This constant tension between tradition and modernization raises a delicate question. How do you keep living in the mountains without losing what makes them so special? How do you convince younger generations that it's worth waking before dawn, working with your hands, living with less, when the outside world offers so much, so quickly? And what happens when cowbells no longer echo along the trails, when hay is no longer turned under the sun by human hands, when cheese is made by machines in factories far from the mountains? There are no clear answers yet, but these questions are being faced every day by those who choose to stay, by those who, despite the challenges, believe it is worth tending to the land, preserving tradition, and passing on what was once entrusted to them. The future of these villages is being shaped right now through hard work, adaptation, and a deep respect for the past that shaped every path, every meadow, every gesture. In the Swiss Alps, life moves at a different pace, more demanding in some ways, simpler in others, but always real. Every village tucked between mountains, every wooden cabin standing firm against wind and snow, carries signs of a way of life that hasn't been lost to time. Here, every wheel of cheese aging in a cellar is more than just food. It's the product of days of work, care, and patience. Everything has its time. Everything has a reason. The people who live in these mountains aren't here by accident. They choose to stay, even when winter makes the roads impassable, even when the cold comes early, even when everything seems to spin faster in the world beyond. They remain because they understand the value of things built through effort. They remain because this is the root of the life they learned from their parents and grandparents. Their routine can't be rushed. Milking, chopping wood, watching the pasture, turning the cheese, none of it can be skipped or automated without losing its meaning. And maybe that's where the beauty lies. The connection to the land isn't symbolic, it's literal. It lives in hands, stained with soil, in the smell of hay, in the warmth of milk collected before sunrise. What can we learn from observing this life? That living well doesn't require hurry, that a simple meal made with what's on hand can nourish more than any luxury, that the silence of the mountain, far from the noise of the city, helps you hear what truly matters. That respecting nature's timing is also a way of respecting your own body, your own mind, your own story. In the end, the mountain farmers of Switzerland aren't just preserving traditions. They're quietly showing us that it's possible to live with purpose, that there's dignity in every task, even the smallest ones, that the essential things aren't found in store windows, but in calloused hands, in fires that never go out, in days lived well, one at a time. And so we come to the end of our journey through the Swiss Alps. Together, we've discovered the unique beauty of this region, its people, its customs, and everything that makes the Alps so special. Now tell me, can you imagine yourself living like this, in a small village close to animals and mountains, far from the rush of the city? Or do you think this lifestyle is something worth experiencing for a while, but not for everyday life? Leave your thoughts in the comments.